Welcome to Week in Review, and thank you for allowing me to share with you on this video commentary. You know, in Matthew 24, and you can check this out, you'll see when Jesus was asked by his disciples about the end of the age prior to his return, they wanted to know some signposts. He stated 4 times the number one signpost, which was deception. He said, don't be deceived. We are living in an era of massive deception, and you and I need to be very discerning. I hope I can help you. Now, recently, Gallup did a poll nationwide on the most trusted institutions in America. Where do people have the most confidence? Guess what the top 2 were? Well, actually, the top 3. Number 1, the military, 61% of Americans. Next was the police. Yes, the police. You say, well, who came in at the bottom? Well, the bottom 2, guess what? Well, you had major news, TV news, television, yeah. 16% had confidence, and then 12% right at the bottom was Congress. We need to be discerning. Let me give you some examples of what I mean and why we have to be discerning. Number 1, I don't know if you saw recently, but Nancy Pelosi, and there's a cartoon I'll put up on the screen, and this is serious. Because Nancy is a Catholic. I was raised Catholic. And Nancy made this statement. She said, as a devout Catholic and mother of 5 in 6 years, I feel God blessed my husband and me with our what? With our beautiful family, but taxpayer-funded abortion is an issue of fairness and justice for poor women in our country. Well, I'm sorry, that you need to be discerning because that's hypocrisy. Here's what the Archbishop said in her area. He said, let me repeat, no one can claim to be a devout Catholic and condone the killing of innocent human life, let alone have the government pay for it. The right to life is a fundamental, the most fundamental human right. And Catholics do not oppose fundamental human rights. To use the smokescreen of abortion is an issue of health and fairness to poor women and is the epitome of hypocrisy. Well, that's what we have. That's hypocrisy. She's a multimillionaire. She's a career politician. You need to be discerning. How about this one? Joe Biden and the Biden administration. He talked, remember when he was inaugurated, he was going to be a unifier. He was here to bring unity to our country. But he's dividing us in 3 ways. Number 1, racism. He's dividing us with race and his emphasis. Number 2, with the economy. The way he's dividing up in equity and giving money entitlements to some against others, and then morally with endorsement of the LGBTQ agenda. That's division, and that's satanic, and it's dividing us as a country. How about this area? Joe Biden was in a town hall on CNN, softball questions and Don Lemon there and the people clapping. But you know, he made a statement. He said, he dared to say that in my administration, we've created more jobs than any president in the history of the United States. Well, they applauded, but was that true? That was a sleight of hand. Remember in March last year when the country shut down because of COVID? And what happened? Jobs shut down. Well, when the vaccine came forth because of Donald Trump and his hard work, then jobs started to come back. So yeah, jobs were coming back. But for him to take credit and say that I have created more jobs than any president in history, that's deception. Here's some other examples of that. How about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? She goes on 60 Minutes and she will put down capitalism, but she will celebrate socialism. Well, isn't it interesting, as she needs to raise some money and for her campaign, what does she do? She puts a website up, and what does she talk about, and what does she offer in a capitalistic way? Merchandise to make money. You know, it's the same thing you see with LeBron James. Here's a guy that is getting $40 million salary, $55 million, I guess, in endorsements. He has a $1 billion contract, lifetime with Nike, and he's about to probably sell his movie production company. He's making movies, you know, he took off, you know, what Michael Jordan did with, the Slam and the cartoons and Bugs Bunny. This guy is a billionaire, and yet what does he do? He'll put down America and Black Lives Matter, we stand for solidarity, white supremacy, blah, 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 blah. And now he's saying in the Olympics, people should be able to protest on the stand when they get their gold medals. I'm sorry, LeBron. we've lost a lot of faith and confidence in you. How about this? The New York Times. The New York Times says all the news that's fit to print. Well, I want to give a plug here for Mark Levin and his book. I love it. This is the book. It's called American Marxism. And he is laying out how the history of the New York Times is propaganda. They were standing for Stalin and supporting him. They were standing for Hitler and supporting him. They were standing for Castro and supporting him. It's chapter 6 in the book. You say, well, Larry, that's deception. That's hypocrisy. Well, you've got to be discerning and not be fooled by what you hear. And when they put forth critical race theory and all the rest of that, don't be discerned. This is propaganda. How about this one? Immigration. Do you remember when Mr. Biden said, we're going to find out what's the root cause? We're sending Kamala down there. We have 1.5 million migrants, foreign nationals, busting into the country. They're desperate. And supposedly they're seeking asylum, but their lives, most of them is not being threatened. And the drugs are coming and the cartels are at work and sex trafficking. And yet he has his Homeland Security advisor. What's he saying to Congress? That we've stopped immigration. That's deception, and it's rampant in this country right now. How about this one? Inflation. Remember when Biden said a month or two in office when inflation started to go up because he stopped the XL pipeline? That's what you see when you get your gas. Oh, my heavens, it's 40% more. And groceries and everything. Well, truckers raised prices, grocery stores, and inflation, yes, get ready, you're going to feel it, is now at a 20-year high, and it's skyrocketing. But he's telling us, well, the Federal Reserve, this is to be expected a little bit. It's not bad. He's deceiving, and we need to see that. How about this one? Do you know that Cuba is, and I hope you saw my commentaries on this. I just got a text today from a man. He said they're protesting, holding American flags and Cuban flags in front of the White House. And you know what? You say, well, the media hasn't really played it up much. And, you know, they said that they were protesting because of vaccines. No. Cuban Americans say it was not just. Of course they want vaccines, but the real issue is they want freedom. It's the freedom movement. You say, well, why isn't the media covering it the way they should? Why don't they emphasize it? Well, because the media is invested in Mr. Biden, and they don't want to share information or stories that would reflect badly upon him. And so this stuff is buried or minimized. You need to be discerning. How about this one? I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. The Cleveland Indians, 105 years, and they, Chief Wahoo, and that was a wonderful thing. Well, now the woke moment, it's racist. And so after 105 years, no more Indians. It's going to be the gatekeepers. Well, gatekeepers, can that be negative? How about, in court when they say we're going to put this guy, as a guardian of the court, or, guard, red guard, Nazi guard? Doesn't that have some negative connotations? But I'll tell you this. Indians, when you go back to the root of it, they were honoring in the beginning. They were the Cleveland Spiders, and because of a Native American that was compared by the Cleveland Plain Dealer newspaper to just like Jackie Robinson, the greatest natural player, well, they wanted to honor him. And so Cleveland Indians, and even Chief Wahoo, 73 years, they've had that smiling guy. That's not racist and derogatory, but you know what you got? A guy put it forth, but you got to be woke. We're going to show how noble we are, and we're not going to be racist. So now you're going to have the Cleveland Guardians. How about this one? CRT. Now, CRT, critical race thinking and theory. Well, they say, it has nothing to do with racism. But let me read something. I'll put it on the screen. Do you know what Encyclopedia Britannica says about critical race theory? Here's what they say, quote, critical race theorists hold that the law and legal institution in the U.S. are inherently racist insofar as they as they function to create and maintain social, economic, and political, look at this, inequalities between whites and non-whites, and especially African Americans. But they'll tell you it's not racist in any way. You got to be discerning. Let me give you a few more. Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey. This guy wants to legalize marijuana. Yeah, let's get it out. And allegedly, the guy that is a defund the police activist, you've heard that with him. Well, you know what? They discovered that allegedly he's putting out about $70,000 to have security and police protection. You say, Larry, any more? Well, how about this one? The Democrats, radical progressive platform. We stand for education. That's who we are. But they kowtow to the teachers' unions and they do what they say. And what do we see? They recently cut Congress, the Democrats, $40 million. $40 million out of charter schools and the budget. You say, how can they get away with this? Well, folks, you have to be discerning, praying and speaking up in this hour. And I want to tell you one thing in closing. In where I used to live in Virginia, not too far, in Russell County, they were trying to push the propaganda of critical race theory. Well, word got out and people didn't sit back passive. Pastors led the way. People came forward. 500 came to the school board meeting and they let it be known where they're at. What was the result? 7-0. They said no critical race thinking and theory in our schools. Let's take a stand, let's pray, and let's recognize the urgency of the hour.